Hello everyone, and welcome to my Zarya guide. It's been a long time coming, and to commemorate Overwatch's first anniversary, here are just some of the things that I've learned in my time of playing Zarya. While she is classified as a tank, Zarya has the equal lowest HP out of all the other tanks, at only 400, 200 of which is comprised of regular HP, and 200 shield. That means that half of her health regenerates if you don't take damage for 3 seconds, and it heals itself back up at a rate of 25 HP per second. So while she's not as tanky as Ryan or D.Va or Roadhog in terms of raw HP, if you play Zarya as a frontline tank that can drop in and out of combat, she can stay alive for an incredible amount of time. To me, she's sort of the perfect mix between damage dealer, tank, and support, able to perform some of the functions of all three roles with her skill set. So this video is going to be pretty in-depth and therefore quite long, so I'm going to timestamp the various sections and put these in the description. The first section is about her weapon. Zarya's particle cannon is part of what makes her so strong in any encounter. She has a close range combat option with her laser beam, and a more medium range option with her particle grenades. Her laser beam does about 95 damage per second, and reaches about 16 meters, and her grenade right clicks do about 45 damage on a direct hit, and have a splash radius of about 2 meters. Her weapon can collect energy through the use of her projected and personal barriers, and for every 1 point of energy, she gains an extra 1% in damage. So at 50 energy, she'll deal 50% extra damage, and at her maximum capacity of 100 energy, she'll deal 100% extra damage. So for convenience, here's her damage output at various energy levels. I know you might be thinking, dude, I play Overwatch, I play video games, so I don't have to deal with numbers. I get enough of those at work or school, and I just hate them. But trust me, knowing the numbers in Overwatch is crucial to developing good game sense and knowledge of certain timings. So for actually using the weapon, personally I use the particle beam as much as I can in close range engagements, and I use the grenade at medium range or lobbing them into tight spaces or at groups of enemies. Now why do I use the laser when the grenades are arguably easier to land? Well, if you can use the laser, you can do more damage than if you just use grenades, since one grenade consumes a whopping 25 ammo. One good thing to know as well is that if you have less than 25 ammo remaining in your gun, you can still shoot a grenade and it will still do the full amount of damage. When going for kills, you can use the laser to bring them down to low health and then use a grenade right click as a last little bit of burst damage to confirm the kill. And don't forget about following up with a quick melee attack if you aren't sure that they'll die. Learning the reach of the laser beam and the arc of her grenades, as well as predicting the movements of enemies, is critical in mastering her weapon. A good trick that makes using the laser easier is running with the enemy while holding your left mouse button down. Usually enemies, while running away, they run in a straight line to the nearest available cover. So take advantage of this and match their pace by walking with them. Doing so lets you melt them into a goopy mess while not having to do much aiming at all. Unfortunately, you can't use this technique on jumping jack Genjis and flappy fairies, so you will need to practice tracking a fast moving target with your mouse, either in the practice range, on bots, or just in quick play. And now to the second and most important part of my guide, her barriers. Shields, bubbles, you can call them whatever you want, but Zarya lives and dies by them. Her personal barrier on shift by default has a cooldown of 10 seconds, while her projected barrier that she can put on teammates has a cooldown of 8 seconds. Both barriers only last for 2 seconds, they can block 200 damage, and each yields a maximum of 40 energy if fully broken. So for every 5 damage blocked, it will provide 1 unit of energy. So taking a direct hit from a ferro rocket, for example, does 120 damage and provides 24 energy. One other benefit of the projected barrier and the personal barrier is that it purges negative effects. So for example, it will purge the debuffs of a Sombra hack, Zenyatta Discord, and also the anti-heal from an Ana grenade. It will also purge movement speed debuffs like the slow from Mei and the slow from Symmetra turrets. And finally, it will prevent knockback effects like Lucio's Soundwave and Pharah's Concussive Blast. When using her barriers, the one golden rule that you need to constantly have in your mind is quality, not quantity. So don't just throw barriers on people without thinking why you are giving them one, because I guarantee there will be times when you wish you had your projected barrier off cooldown to save a teammate. Effective use is what you should be aiming for. So to help with this, I tell myself that every barrier I place needs to have a purpose. Whether or not it actually achieves this purpose is a different story, but the main aim is to have an intention behind every barrier. If you keep at this enough, eventually you will find that your barrier usage will become more effective, and you'll have higher energy throughout the game. However, there are some common scenarios where using a barrier is never a bad idea, and will most likely save a teammate's life. These are Roadhog hooks, people stuck with a Tracer's pulse bomb, teammates pinned by a charging Reinhardt, frozen by Mei, discorded by Zenyatta and under enemy fire, hacked by Sombra, trapped by a Junkrat trap, and zapped by Symmetra turrets. Another good thing about Zarya's barriers is that they will also block burst damage higher than the shield's health. A good example is D.Va's ultimate, which does 1000 damage if you are right next to the explosion. While the barrier only has 200 HP, so to speak, characters shielded with a bubble and caught in the explosion will still live. This is the same for other large amounts of damage which are dealt in a single instance, such as Tracer Bombs, McCree Deadeye Shots, and Reinhardt Pins. All the applications for the barriers mentioned previously are defensive uses, but her barriers can also be used offensively. For example, you can shield a Winston who is diving into the enemy team, a Genji, Soldier, Pharah or Reaper who is using their ultimate, or on a friendly Roadhog who has landed a hook. When playing as Zarya, you need to be very aware as to what is happening around you. Before the round starts, I like to have a quick glance to see where everyone is setting up and to give me a general idea of where my teammates are. After this, you will need to keep scanning and observing where your teammates are positioning themselves in order for good barrier usage. As the place to start, I like to save my personal barrier for gaining energy and the projected barrier for saving lives. During the poke phase, there should be a lot of spam incoming towards your team, and this is a great opportunity to gain some quick energy. Additionally, using audio cues to aid in barrier usage is critical to good Zarya play. The best example I can give is Roadhog's hook, which makes a very audible chink when it lands on someone. And now to the most game-changing part of Zarya's abilities, her ultimate. Graviton Surge lasts for 4 seconds and deals a tiny amount of damage every second. It has a pull radius of about 7 meters. So knowing this distance is crucial for good ultimates, so get a feel for how far 7 meters is. As for knowing when to use it, there are 3 things that you need to consider. 1. Is my whole team nearby? I've learnt this one the hard way. Feeling the immediate satisfaction of getting 5 people in your grav, and then realizing that your team is dead. And then being totally crushed as all those guys caught in your grav walk out of it and then kill you. The second is, do I have enough follow-up damage to help kill those caught in the Graviton Surge? This can take the form of high damage ultimates like Reaper's Death Blossom or Pharah's Barrage, and even just spam damage from your teammates from primary weapons and abilities. And the third is, does the enemy team have heroes that can negate or counter the effects of my ultimate? These are Mercy, who can resurrect her teammates killed in your grav, Zenyatta, who can heal his team through the damage, Diva, who can block shots with her mech. Reinhardt, who can shield his team. Roadhog, who can push your team away. And lastly, Genji, who can reflect your ult and then turn it against your team. Try not to hold on to your ult for the whole game waiting for the perfect 6-man Graviton Surge. If you can get 3 or 4 and you can help your team secure all of those kills, you've done your job. As for knowing when to use it, once you've gone through the checklist of those 3 things in your head, if you see a group of enemies, quickly approximate the middle point of them and then shoot your ultimate there. The projectile follows the exact same arc as Zarya's grenades. So once you get a feel for the grenades, launching her ultimate should feel easy. As for what you do after you ult, you can use your laser beam to quickly take down key targets like healers or damage dealers. Or you can spam your grenades into the Grav if you're on really high energy. Now each situation will be different, but knowing what is best for this situation will come with time the more you play Zarya. And that's just some of the things that I've learned in my 1 year of playing Zarya. I would like to include more, but then the video would go for too long. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video or at least learned one thing, whether you're a seasoned Overwatch veteran or starting out in the free weekend. Let me know what you thought of my guide, and if I can improve on anything by leaving a comment, giving it a thumbs up, and by subscribing to be notified the instant I release any future videos. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll catch you in the next one.